2021 wasn't already crazy and bizarre, now we've got the Belgian Grand Prix, which is now the shortest race in F1 history. Welcome back everyone to another race reaction for the 2021 Formula 1 season, and I don't know if I can call this a race reaction because it's not even a race reaction, it's just a reaction to obviously what happened this weekend at the Belgian Grand Prix. If you don't know or haven't seen the race yet, there was no race because the race got postponed basically. We literally had like 3 minutes of running and that was literally it. We had 2 laps at the start, which weren't really classed as racing laps, they were just sort of formation laps before the start of the race just to test how the conditions were and stuff. And then obviously we got like a 2-hour delay, and then they finally went out again for another 2 laps, and like I said, it was about 3 minutes, and that deemed the race, and that was it. They called it off. Michael Masi said no more, and yeah, that was pretty much it for the Grand Prix. Probably one of the most boring Grand Prix ever to exist, and it brought Canada 2011 flashbacks as well. Obviously, you know, where that was one of the longest Grand Prix in history. I don't know if this is the longest Grand Prix in history, but honestly, it's definitely the shortest. They're running at like 3 minutes 18 seconds. Just crazy, absolutely crazy. Obviously, I'm going to talk about obviously the decisions that were made and things like that, because obviously, you know, it was a big talking point of the Grand Prix. And obviously, you know, coming into this one, it's Spa. We all love Spa. It's deemed as one of the best racetracks on the calendar, and obviously one of the most dangerous as well, which is obviously why they sort of called it off and everything. But I'll get into my opinions with that. Obviously, as for the race result, obviously it sort of ended as it started, because obviously no one moved at all. I think Bottas and Stroll were the only 2 drivers that changed the grid order, because they had the 2 penalties from the last Grand Prix, because obviously Bottas took everyone out and Stroll did more or less the same as well. So they were the only 2 drivers that actually changed the grid because of that. And yeah, apart from that, the whole grid stayed the same. So Verstappen took the win, obviously getting pole in qualifying. George Russell in 2nd place and getting a podium for Williams. Unbelievable. Lewis Hamilton 3rd. Ricciardo in 4th. That will be a good confidence boost for him. Sebastian Vettel in 5th. Pierre Gasly, another 6th place. This guy has more 6th places than any other driver in this grid, I swear to God. Esteban Ocon in 7th, Charles Leclerc in 8th, Latifi 9th, Sainz 10th, Alonso, Bottas, Giovinazzi, Norris, who had that crazy crash in qualifying, has to be said, Tsunoda, Schumacher, Mazepin, Raikkonen, Perez and Stroll finishing at the bottom. And obviously Perez actually also crashed on the formation lap as well. Well, not even on the formation lap, it was on the way around to the grid. Just lost control at the end of the Camel Straight and went into the barrier. But apparently Red Bull managed to fix his car in time for the race, which I didn't think was allowed. But nevertheless, I suppose if you have the time, then why not? There was lots of interesting things where that could go ahead or not and things like that. But yeah, no, there's nothing to really talk about race-wise. So I'm just going to get into my sort of talk of the decisions that were made and what the reasons sort of were. So obviously the main reason being that the race didn't take place was obviously because of the rain. It literally was raining consistently non-stop. The rain wasn't even exactly heavy, it was just so consistent that the drivers and everyone around the track couldn't keep the track dry enough to start the race, which was the big problem. The main problem with racing in those conditions, obviously, first of all, the track is super dangerous. Obviously, like I've just mentioned, Spa is one of the most dangerous Grand Prix ever, I would say, especially obviously Radion and Eau Rouge. And then obviously when it's in the wet, it can be even more dangerous. So obviously there's reasons for that why Michael Masi didn't go ahead with the race. And obviously I felt like a lot of the decisions were down to him not making the call to put a red flag out for Q3, because obviously Norris, like I said, went off in that horrible crash at the top of Eau Rouge, and thankfully, he walked away from it. And but yeah, I think that sort of played on obviously their minds a little bit, and didn't want to send all 20 cars into that corner, knowing how bad the track conditions were. I don't think it was down to the tyres or the track being really wet. I think it was mainly down to visibility as well, because honestly, so many drivers were saying how they couldn't see literally like 5 meters ahead of them. It was crazy. Lewis, I think, said he was literally ahead of in front of George, and he literally couldn't see George ahead of him at all. So visibility is always a big thing. Obviously, you know, these cars with the wide rear tires, obviously kicking up all that spray. It's just not right. You don't want to be going up a rouge with not being able to see. So I completely understand from that regard. Obviously, you know, for the fans that were there and everything like that. It's obviously not good for them, because obviously they paid all this money, they've come all this way, and it's obviously not good for them. I don't know what's going to be happening on that side, if they're going to get a refund or not. We don't know, but obviously hopefully they get something back, or free tickets to the next Grand Prix. Why not? I don't think that will happen, but you know, obviously all these things have got to be considered when these type of things happen. But the whole race itself was just an absolute mess. Obviously Michael Massey being the main steward of every Grand Prix, just had no idea what was going on. I think it was Karun Chandok on Sky Sports. He went up to 6 teams, and he asked every team what the situation was going on, and every single team gave him a different answer. That just proves no one knows what was going on. They didn't know if the race was starting or not going ahead or anything like that. So it was just a complete mess from that side of the garage, and you know, it's just not really good enough really for Formula One. And we need to be more organised, I feel, when these things happen, because F1 is an outdoor sport. We are going to get rain, and I feel this is really typical as well, because over the last few years, obviously when we've been expecting rain, we've never got it, and now when it does rain, we can't even start the race. So we can't win either way, even if we want it to rain or not. So it is what it is. But obviously, like I said, I mentioned George Russell as well. What a qualifying from him. Obviously getting a podium for Williams after coming off, obviously, his first points finish for Williams in Hungary as well is absolutely crazy. This season just took another spanner in the works, and it's just made this whole championship just that more exciting. Obviously, the gap at the top has come down between Verstappen and Lewis, and it's just all getting really, really exciting. But yeah, like I said, not really much to touch on for this race reaction, but nevertheless, I'm still looking forward to the Dutch Grand Prix. I feel like that's going to be a really interesting one, obviously, with Max's fans being at the circuit as well. I don't think there's going to be any other drivers or any other fans, sorry, apart from Max fans. So really interested to see what the atmosphere is like there. Apparently it is predicted to rain as well for that Grand Prix, so fingers crossed it can actually go ahead and we don't get any postpones. So yeah, we'll have to see on that side. But yeah, my race reaction for the Belgian Grand Prix, obviously not much, like I said, nothing to talk about. Nothing happened, the race didn't go ahead for obvious reasons. So that's it, guys, for this race reaction for the Belgian Grand Prix. If you have enjoyed it, please do give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you are new as well. Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section of this video. Should it have gone ahead? Should they have tried it? Do you think it was the right decision? Let me know all your thoughts, and I'll see you all again in the next one, guys. Take care.